So I'll have all the details about how to submit corrections because I'm really particular about it. So a few things I'm particular about in this life, that is one of them. I will have those up. You can get back 50% of anything that I took 2 or more points off of. So sometimes like people like, I took off like a point because it was like, no, this should be a 6, not a 7, and like, I told you that, so there's nothing, you know. So little tiny corrections, there's like no remediation for, but nor should there be, right? Who cares? 1 point ain't gonna make a difference. But I would recommend everyone who wants, do the corrections. They will be due at the start of class a week from next Monday. I don't even know what day that will be. Is that like March? March 2?
No, March 5. March 6.
March
Monday
6th.
after spring break?
Yes.
March 6th.
So those, so the corrections will be due at the start of class Monday, March 6th. Also, please, 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 do that bonus. Like even, I'll give you over 100%. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a freaking problem giving everybody an A. I don't care, they can't fire me. They can't fire me. Not for that anyway. So, yeah, lots of, and please, please, please don't forget to do the web work. My God, please don't. That is now open through Friday, so that if you have questions, which you might, because even people who have been on top of what those are about had trouble getting the answers in. You know, web work, fighting web work and things like that. So don't hesitate to email me about any troubles you're having with that, my friends. Is there any questions on that?
So the bonus is like the review, right?
Yeah, there's so many bonuses, yes. So the bonus is the web work review.
Okay. I don't think it's open anymore.
I think
The exam 1 review?
It's
Closed.
Oh.
it should be
I thought it
open.
was open.
I thought it just,
Oh, yeah.
it is closed.
It is closed.
I will fix that. Can someone, could you send me an email, please? Thank you.
And then is there another bonus?
Well, there was the bonus on the exam, of which only one person got, which was good. That was the graphs. And then there's no other bonus. That's enough bonus. That's like 15 points worth of bonus right there, just those two things together. Because I'll give you 10 for the web work. Just tack it on. Happy to do it. Other questions? That was a great question. What is this? Oh my God. Okay. No, good. We're good. All right, I'm gonna have an assignment for you over break. It won't be due on Monday, it'll be due the Wednesday after break. It's gonna be fun, cool exploration of the stuff that we're gonna finish talking about today. So, let's go forth with that. We are gonna talk today about bifurcations. So let's warm back up to what we were talking about in the past. And by the past, I guess I mean last Wednesday? Yeah, last Wednesday. So we were talking about flows on the line. Recall, flows on the line. And what that came from was resulting from, so I'll kind of make a little mini summary notes here, resulting from an autonomous system. And so that would look like this. I have dx dt depends solely on the value of x, completely on the state, no dependence on t over here, so no t dependence. And there's a lot of physical systems that can be put into this. For example, like any of the growth models, like when you come back to those, we had x dot equals kx. This kind of, you get to explore these in the web work for the exam, that part. But all these models were autonomous. And remember, this was like cooling, this was radioactive decay, this was exponential growth, this is all sorts of shit. So this model is really prevalent, and it's like an example of this. Let's actually take a look at one of those and think about what that's all about. So given, here's our problem, and then we're gonna expand on it. Given x dot equals f of x, create a line indicating the dynamics. Let's put in front of the word dynamics the qualitative dynamics. That word's qualitative. I don't think that word is qualitative, but what I mean is qualitative. Qualitative dynamics of the system, which is, this should be refreshing. Everything, the reason you suffer in this class is because of quantitative analysis. That's what makes your life miserable, trying to get web work to understand this thing and you're just off by a tiny little bit. But this is just touchy-feely. This is as touchy-feely as math gets. Really, it's quite lovely and fun. So, how do we do that? How? So step one is I would sketch the x dot equals f of x on a plane. So you're kind of going to treat this like this. You're going to treat it like it was y equals f of x. So this is like Desmos, a clock, right? We like pull out Desmos and we get a plot of this thing. And we're just keeping in mind that instead of y, we have x dot and x. And let's remember what this is. This is equal to the slope, tangent slope. And this is equal to the current position or state. Let's just say state, because it might not be a position. It might be current temperature, or current population size, all sorts of different things like that. So we're going to plot this. Let me just do it kind of in general. Let's say it looked like this. I had like a cubic, some kind of thing, like x dot is something like a cubic polynomial. I'd have to rig it to make it look like this. So that's step one. Step two, where the graph intersects the horizontal axis, we have x dot equals 0. That means there's no change at that location. There's 0 slope. You're not moving. So no change. And what this is actually giving us is, i.e., equilibrium solutions. Step three. So like up here, I can come up here and I'm going to put little open circles on those. Those are my equilibrium solutions, those three right there. Hell, let's add a few values here. Let's say that's at 1, 2, that's at 5, and that's at, say, -4. Right there. So for our example, for that graph up there, we have x star, and I'll use a little star to indicate equilibrium or fixed point. And a fixed point just means equilibrium, not moving. So here x dot equals -4, 1, and 5. Make a little list of that. You don't even have to write them down because you've got it on your graph. Step 3. Note the sign, S-I-G-N, of x dot in the regions between the equilibrium solutions, in the regions betwixt. That's just me being silly, but that just means between in like some kind of old English, or maybe it never was a word, I don't know. Betwixt the equilibrium solutions. So if it's above, that means it's positive. So x dot positive means flow to the right. And x dot negative means flow to the left. almost it. And then there'll be step 4 is make a summary line plot. And I'll show you. That's basically like take this x-axis and just move it on its own. It just hangs out by itself. So let's do this part here. If x is bigger than 5, x dot is a positive value. That means x is always increasing if I'm up here. X is decreasing between 1 and 5. X is increasing twixt -4 and 1, and then x is decreasing here because x dot is negative. Let me know if that makes sense or that needs any clarification. Let's see some nods. Yes, Ella, ask me.
Why is it flowing to the left between 1 and 5?
So here, so check out this. So the height of this graph is the x dot. So in this region, x dot is actually negative. It's underneath here. I'm glad you asked. It's a good thing to clear up. Any other questions? Chris, yeah.
What's the word after region?
Oh God.
Betwixt.
Betwixt. Yeah, I spent like
It's like,
long. Why didn't I just write between?
I was
It
like,
would have just saved
I was
us like
right
10
between,
minutes.
and I was like,
So this now gets summarized, and let's add a little summary plot. And here we're going to shade the equilibria appropriately. And what I mean by that is, i.e., solid dot equals stable, open dot equals unstable, and half open, you can have like a half open on the right or half open on the left. These two are half stable. This one would mean there's a stability on the left, unstable on the right, and vice versa for the other one. So let's get our little plot out here. So how about that 5 up there? Is that a stable equilibrium or an unstable equilibrium? Unstable, yeah. So you just have to imagine you're on the equilibrium and you tweak yourself a little to the left or the right. Do you move toward it or do you move away from it? If you move away from it, it's unstable. So 5 is an unstable equilibrium. I'll just put that with an open circle. And I'll put you also want the flow on here too. So let's just go ahead and get all the flows between the regions. Yeah, so. And so then 1 is a stable equilibrium because if I fall to either side of it, my long-term tendency is to come back home, and then 4 is unstable. So now I understand a lot about this system. Let me translate this into a thing you're more familiar with. I can make the flow, the direction field immediately from that. And let me do this to try to tie this in. So now check this out. Now this is x of t versus t. This is actually solution curves here. So there's a lot of graphs going on and it can get confusing. So that's why we're taking this time to show this contrast. So if for example, I have x at some time is equal to 1, then I never leave that. So when x is 1, I'm always on there. So I'm just going to put a nice line like this. And I'm going to actually mark off the equilibrium solutions. So then I also have one at -4. So here's -4, here's 1, and then I have one at 5 as well. And the scale is not great. And I'm going to put a right arrow on these because this is time flowing forward. So if I ever start anywhere on this line, I never leave it. My rate of change is 0. Think Euler's method. If you're here and x dot is 0, you just move to the right. where x dot is once again still 0, so you never leave those things. But these arrows tell me how the flows in between these regions go. So if I'm between -4 and 5, x is increasing. So check this out, x is increasing here. So that means my flow looks like this in here. Between 1 and 5, x is decreasing. So in here, I would always move down. And then up here, let's see, then we have positive up here, x is increasing above 5, and then x is decreasing below -4. And let me get some colors in here to make this a little bit more obvious, because there's a lot of axes. So this is my axis here. It's a little confusing. But these equilibria, you never, if you're not on them, you never actually get to them. You just approach them. And the behavior in these regions is always asymptotic. So you leave an equilibrium asymptotically and you approach an equilibrium asymptotically. Sound good? Sound pretty reasonable? Make sure this is all syncing up, because we're going to push it a little more forward now. I kind of like these. Look fun. These look so pretty, don't they? They're just beauty. I just love them. All right. I'm glad you do too, Kendra. All right. So let's look at a more interesting thing now. And I'm going to give you a bunch of these to do. You'll have time, and we'll have time to talk. What's up?
So between -4 and 1, shouldn't the asymptotes go all the way up to 1?
Yes, thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, my own damn picture got me. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah. Good call.
You're good.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
So Chris is saying, yeah, I got confused by my own asymptote.
It's literally Kendra's words.
Did not know my asymptote from a whole, anyway, I won't go there, but. Okay. Yeah. Boo. All right, so. Now let's check out a parametric system. So this means we have a control knob on the system. Let's take a look. So x dot equals, and we're going to do x squared minus r. And r is our parameter. And it's a control knob. You can think of it. Here, doesn't seem to be any restrictions. It's not like square root of r, where I'd have to worry that r was always not a negative number. So for us here, this looks like r can be anything. Good to go. Let's make the face, not the face portrait, but the pre-face portrait. So the face portrait is really this line right here. You can think of that as the face portrait. This is a tool for getting there. What is the shape of this thing? What does this look like? You get lots of this, yeah, good. Parabola opening up. Where does it sit? Does it sit down here? Does it sit touching just 0, 0? Does it sit above?
It sits below the x-axis.
So as Chris is recommending this picture here, what is Chris assuming the r value is here?
There it is.
Positive, right? So check it out. If r is a positive number, then we're subtracting off a little and shifting the graph down, right? So this would be r is a positive number. So that, in other words, I have something like this. X dot equals x squared minus 1. That would be this parabola right here with an intercept at -1. Just to be really precise about what we're doing. So anytime r is positive, because we're subtracting it, it's a pull downward. R equals 0 is the classic right here. So this is r equals 0. And then when r is negative, I'm actually adding on, right? So here, notice here, r is equal to +1. Here's r equals 0. These are getting a little out of control there. And then here's x dot equals x squared plus 1. Since I'm subtracting r, here r is negative 1. Looks like a plus. So let's put that on here. Okay, so this is r less than 0. So now what happens as I turn my knob? When r is really negative, so here's our r knob. Okay, yeah, got a little indicator on it. And here's like negative infinity here. And here's plus infinity here. And the controls. So I start out down here at negative infinity, and I turn it. What is happening to the parabola as I turn this to the right? It's going down, right? Because up here, r is negative. Because I'm subtracting it, so it's easy to get confused. When r is negative, I'm up here. When r is 0, I'm here. When r is positive, I'm down here. So as I turn this, it actually lowers the parabola. You've got to see this. If you don't see this, tell me, and I'll try to make it clear. But you have to see that as I turn this dial to the right, as I increase r, the parabola drops down. Yes, Chris?
Wait, are you making r a bigger positive number or a smaller negative number?
I'm letting r start at negative infinity,
Okay.
and as I drop it, as I move it up to positive infinity, so here's r equals 0 right here, right? So here's 0 on our knob, there. Here's plus infinity. So I'm thinking of the whole gamut as I run it from a very negative number to a very positive number.
Okay, because I was thinking that like, if you turn it that way, you're gonna be closer to a negative infinity on the dial.
Don't think about where infinity and plus.
Okay.
Don't think about.
I was
where,
thinking about too literally then.
Yeah, you definitely get rid of that. Use your mind, only your mind, to control the parabola.
Thinking about like they're buying a knob.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay, cool. Does anybody need like a specific example to see what I'm talking about? Are we good? Good? All right, sweet. So let's look at the case. There's really 3 cases. R is a negative number, and this parabola doesn't intersect here. The moment r equals 0, the parabola first touches this axis. And at that point, there's actually an equilibrium solution that's born. So notice that when r is up here, let's actually take a look at that. Let's say r is equal to negative 10. Then I've got x dot equals x squared plus 10. So I've got this. If this is x dot and this is x, there's no equilibrium. There's no place that x dot is 0. In fact, what is x dot in terms of positive, negative, 0? What, did somebody say something? I thought I heard something. I don't think it was what I wanted to hear. Maybe it wasn't. What is the sign of x dot in this picture? Positive. Oh, maybe I did hear it right. Was that you before?
No.
No, okay. Is that you? Yeah, okay, I thought, okay. Notice that x dot here is positive, so the flow is always positive. In fact, x dot is always greater than or equal to what? 10. 0 is always a good guess. You can never hurt, and it's even part of the answer, right? It's kind of part of it. So 0 plus 10 is the answer. So here I've just got a positive flow. In this thing, there's no equilibrium at all. I keep turning the knob. Now I'm going to put that damn knob up here, but it's not a literal thing. So just take it easy there. In fact, I'll put negative infinity here and plus infinity here. And there's my little knob, and then here's 0 right in the middle of those two. So I'm turning it from up, and now I'm at 0. Here's when r equals 0, we get the birth of an equilibrium. No equilibria. Suddenly, out of the blue, an equilibrium is born. Right here. notice that it is half stable because the flow is still like this, but now I've got this stopping point in the middle. So it's a half stable equilibrium that's born at R equals 0. Good? Yes?
Is there a reason it's half stable on the left, or is it just?
Yes, because the flow, so here, notice that x dot is positive here and here, Kitra.
Mm.
So I would head toward it on this side, but if I fell off the other side, it would send me away from home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the half stable means if I fall to the left, I come back. All right, so let's keep going here. Now, we're just gonna do the other case where R continues. So I keep cranking R up, and now R is a positive number. And when R is positive, the picture looks like this. By the way, where are those? Where are those equilibria at? What is their coordinates?
You have 1 at 10.
Say that again.
You have 1 at 10.
So just for an arbitrary R. Now, yeah, so we've got x dot equals x squared minus R. When is x dot equal to 0? What x dot?
And R is x squared.
Yes. We'll get closer. I love it. When R is x squared, so what would x be?
Square root of R.
Plus or minus square root of R, right? Yeah. So hey, when we do the square rooting, we put on a plus or minus, and we didn't all do that on the last exam, right? The one we got back now. So we got to put that plus or minus. So here x is plus or minus root R. And that's defined because R is positive. So that's all kosher. So here's square root of R. Here's negative square root of R. What happens to those equilibria as I keep turning R up? What do they do? Yeah. What do you see, Ella? Oh, you had it right there. I think your hands were doing the right thing.
Well, I know like the parabolas and then either go in or out, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so what happens is this parabola bottom drops, just lowering it, right? So here's the next low one, right? Here's the little move, so they're moving outward. So those two equilibria move away from their birthplace down here. So let me erase that. I wish I had undo, but I don't. That would be a pretty sweet life feature. I'd pay extra for that. So, what is this? What is this one? Is this stable or unstable? What is the flow in the middle? Is it left or right in the middle here?
Or was it
To the left.
To the left, because it's negative, right? So decreasing. So let's get labels, that helps too. So the decreasing flow here, and then positive over here, and positive over here. Stable, unstable. So look at what happened. No equilibria. Birth of a half stable equilibria at one instant. From there on out, look what happens. The black half keeps moving to the left and the white half keeps moving to the right. And we see these equilibria spread out apart from each other. Yes? Yes? We can make a picture now of this. So here's a new picture, another axis that has different information on it for us. So this is called a bifurcation diagram. And what this is a plot of the equilibria versus the parameter. So this is R, and then I'm going to put X star here because that's what represents our equilibrium solutions. And you might want to have color. Some of you like colored pencils and pens and stuff, and I'm going to do that too, because this gets fun. And if you like making pretty diagrams, you're going to be. I got you covered. So this is R. When R is negative, there's no equilibria. There's nothing here. So let's make a little note of that. So notice over here, when r is less than 0, there's no equilibrium. The first equilibrium point appears when r equals 0, and it's right here at the origin. And it's this half stable one. So here I've got all of a sudden the birth, and I'm gonna let blue equal my stable, let's see, stable side. And I'm gonna let red equal unstable. That kind of syncs with our natural, like I'm furious, I'm out of control, I'm raging red. Oh, I'm cool, like water. Blue, I don't know, whatever, I'm just making shit up now. So, and on top I have the unstable half. And then as r keeps increasing, this unstable branch keeps moving out away from 0, and the stable branch does the same. So we see this, and actually I could literally plot this is the equation right here. It's a positive square root, so this is x star equals positive square root of r, and this is x star equals negative square root of r. And this is called a blue sky bifurcation. Because no equilibria existed, one was born, and then things changed from there on out. So this is an example of a blue sky bifurcation, which is a special type of what are called saddle point bifurcations. So it's a special case of saddle point bifurcations. Now, why these are called saddle points, we'll never actually be able to see in here, because it requires like higher dimensions and shit, and we're just not going to do it. But let me give you one to analyze. Could you please, dear friends, do me a favor? Do me a solid. And and if you're just doing this in black and white, generally, if you're doing it in black and white, we use solid for the stable, and then dotted lines for unstable. So that's your option if you're stuck with one color. Bless you. All right, let's do another one. Yes, let's do another one. I got a feeling we'll be talking about this on Monday when we come back, because it's something it's exciting to think about it, and I have something to look forward to. One of my favorite things in the world. Let's see here. So let's say I had x dot equals rx minus x squared. Uh-oh. Let's get some specific values here. So let's, usually when you're analyzing these, it's a skill to be able to look at this and understand what happens for arbitrary r. So I would pick certain values for r and understand it that way. So here, let's first off say r is a negative number. And what I'm going to do is pick r equals -1 and make this look cool. So we've got x dot equals negative x minus x squared. And then plot that. And you'll get an understanding for all negative r values. So can you do that for me, friends? Could you please plot this? So now you have to remember, like, you know, algebra, pre-calc. What shape is it? Just so we can all, what is the shape that we're looking for? Exactly. No. What is that shape? Is it a sine curve? No, there's no sine in it. Is it a hyperbola? It's not, it's neither of those. Yeah, Ella.
Just something I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
If r equals 0, then it's just negative
Ooh,
squared.
I like that. Yeah, there you go.
So is it just a parabola?
So yeah. But this is kind of a parabola too, with just a little bit of a twist on it.
Does it have another hump in it?
No, parabolas only get one hump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not polynomial.
Does everybody see that that's a parabola, right? It's like a polynomial, second degree polynomial. Does it open up or down? Down, because of the negative x squared. Beautiful. Look, you got this. Right? You could even grab a couple of zeros if you want. You could pull a negative x out if you wanted. You'd end up with something like that. Oh, did I do that right? Yeah. What are the zeros of the parabola? 0. So x equals 0, x dot equals 0. What's the other one? Thank you. And negative 1. I can factor this out and see the zeros. Yeah. You know that it opens downward. Don't worry about precision in the graph. Just get the feel. All you're mostly concerned about is where does it hit that x-axis, and is it above or below? That's all you really care about. And then tell me what kind of stability and stuff is going on here. And if you get this and you're like, these are sweet boots, my God. I've never seen them. I like the green, it's cool. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Now try, now do what about when R is positive? Yeah. Like, imagine the movie. Yeah, that's, you're right. Yeah. Oh, that looks good. That looks good, Grace. Just trying to figure out which way it flows. Okay, so let's look at the graph. So
this is flowing
to the right. Yep, exactly. It's really intuitive once you just you remember that above is to the right. What are we doing here, Kyle? Okay. Ooh. What kind of graph is this? That is not a parabola. Let's see. So I like it. Yeah. No, oh, I see. You were just looking at some other stuff. How'd you? Let's see. You got a third zero. What's this one out here from? I think that's what threw you off, having that on there. Yeah, it just kind of keeps it high. Yeah, it just kind of, it's just, so like, just kind of hooked like this, like a little horseshoe facing down forever. Yeah. Cool, you're moving on. We'll probably have a shorter class today too, if that's okay with everybody. Yeah, good. I just gotta get the fuck out of here. I mean, I love being here with you
Yes,
all.
sir.
I love you all. One of my favorite places to be is right here doing this stuff with you folks, but everything has a time. I liked how you went to the R equals 0 case, Ella. I think that was a smart, intuitive move, because it makes life easy, right? It's kind of a nice place to start. You got it. R is greater than 0. Let's see something. Here's something. more details you can add, the better your understanding will be, right? So you could even take this one here and realize that, or you could just take the original and notice that it always factors like that. So one of your zeros is 0, and the others are. Right, so you've got it right in front of you, and you can label it on here. So when r is negative, the picture looks like that. When r is 0, those two have come together, they have collided. When r is positive, I got a picture that looks like this. Always a parabola, always facing down, but other stuff is going on. Let's see, so here we have unstable and stable. So 0 is stable, the one on the left is unstable. Here we have, here we have a half stable. So Kitra, this is nice because we get to see this one. This one's half stable on the right, stable on the right. And then, as I keep cranking r up, let's see, what do we got here? The stable one keeps moving to the right. We're going to have a neat way to think of this in just a minute. Let's see, so we got that. So I've got an unstable and a stable. Yeah? We're feeling good? Yes, questions or anything clarifying this? What is the movie? The movie is that as I move r from a negative number where I've got this, so like think when r is super negative, this is way out there. And as r moves in, this point moves closer and closer to this one. The 0 is always in there, right? I've always got 0. And as r gets smaller and smaller in magnitude, this moves in, and then they collide. And then what happens is there's an exchange of stability. So check this, it's almost like billiard balls. Like this one is cruising toward this one, it hits it, and then this one keeps moving and this one stays fixed. So this one comes in, clicks it, stays fixed, and knocks the stable one to keep moving. So the bifurcation diagram looks like this. X star and R. And we can literally plot where these things are going to be. Notice that when R equals X, we have a fixed point. And then when x equals 0, or when 0 equals x, we've got a fixed point. So whenever, this one here is always at r. So the fixed point is always the same as r. So x star equals r is what I'm trying to say, and I'm not saying it very well. But we have this line x star equals r, and then we have 0 always as one of our fixed points. When r is negative, the one at 0 is stable. What did I use for stable? Blue. So the one at 0 is stable when r is negative. And the one that's moving in is unstable. I'll just color it red, I guess. They collide, and there's an exchange of stability. Now the one that's fixed is unstable, and the one that's moving is now stable. So that's my bifurcation diagram. That is called a transcritical bifurcation. There's an exchange of stability at the bifurcation point. Bifurcation point means things change at this point from here on out. So this is called a transcritical bifurcation. This one, if you know anything about lasers, this is actually the bifurcation diagram for a laser. You've got some material, like let's say you've got like when I was young, I tried so hard to build a laser. Did I tell you this already? And it feels like something I've told. Like there was 3 things I wanted when I was young. I wanted a laser. Well, there's more. I wanted a laser, I wanted a hovercraft, I wanted a robot. All of these things. I tried really hard to make all of them and succeeded at none. But I spent a long time trying to make a laser. So lasers, you've got some material, like this one's like a ruby rod. So you've got this very nicely made ruby rod, and you put like a light around it. And so this is like a very bright light that's coiled around it, and then you flash it and it excites the atoms in here, and then when the atoms reach a critical point, they start to laze and emit coherent light at some point. So it's after a critical value. This is the lasing point right here when this happens. I don't quite know what everything represents here, so this is probably not a great story. No, it's a pretty bad story. So anyway, transcritical bifurcation. Hey, lasers. Pew. All right, let's see, what time is it? I got one more I want to show you. One more. Notice how the pattern has been going. So the first one we looked at was x dot equals, there was essentially like an r and an x squared. And the next one I tacked an x onto the x squared. So now I'm gonna up things, but I'm gonna tack on a power to that x. It's gonna really change things drastically. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna give you some of the raw materials and see if you can come up with the bifurcation diagram. Because that's gonna be your task for the problems I'm gonna give you. So one last one. X dot equals Rx minus x cubed. Ooh, all right, what's gonna happen? What will become of our system? So, let me make some plots for you to help you out. What you could do is you could go to Desmos. So like I give you this, right? You go to Desmos and you say, hey Desmos, and you got the little box up here, right? And you type in it, y equals Rx minus x cubed. You type that in up there, and when you type that R, it'll say, do you want to add a slider? You say, hell yes, I want to add a slider, and it'll go, okay. I'm sorry I asked, I should have known you wanted an R slider, and then it'll like probably go from -10 to 10 or some shit like that. And then you can slide this, and it'll change the graph based upon the R value. And I think we've done that in here, maybe, I don't know. I know, I like feel like I do it almost daily. Like wake up, get up in bed, get Desmos up, start making sliders. It's a good math day. So, what you could do is do this and then watch the graph change. So for example, when R is negative here, check out what this thing actually looks like. So it's like this. When R is a negative number, like say R is -1, don't write this stuff down because I'm just kind of riffing here. But if R was -1, the graph would look, the equation would look like this. Do you see that 0 is always a solution? Because 0, look, when x equals 0, this will equal 0 no matter what R is. So we've always got 0 in the mix. Does this equal 0 ever for any real numbers? Are there any real x that I can put in there to make that piece 0? Let me help you. It's also writable like that. Can that be 0? Nathan's giving me like, no, Thomas is giving me, no, not unless I is like, not unless x is I, right? It takes an imaginary number to make that shit 0. So when R is less than 0, this thing is just a cubic that looks like this. So Desmos, hey Desmos, I got R less than 0, and it looks like this. And then when R equals 0, what does that look like? Let's do the thing Ella was suggesting before. Ooh, it makes it so pretty, right? Good old cubic. So when R equals 0, I get this. What all that's happened is it's actually flattened out. Here you have a non-zero slope. Here you have a 0 slope. That's the only thing that's changed. But then things get cool. The minute I crank R past 0, when R is past 0, for example, R is 1, look at what the equation would look like. So here's R equals 1. We get x dot equals x times 1 minus x1 plus x. So the minute R is positive, I've got 2 new solutions to kick in on this thing. And that's going to look like this. So here's r greater than 0. Let's see. So yeah. And in fact, this is at square root of positive r. This is at negative square root of r. Positive square root. Graph looks like that. And this dude's always in the middle. Can you do me a favor? This is the last thing we'll do today. Make me a bifurcation diagram. I've done all the nitty gritty. Make me a bifurcation picture. And I'll put some stuff for you to work on over the break up here. You're gonna want Desmos. You got one, Chris? You got a... Oh, okay. Okay. All right. There's problems up here. Know what the last one is. I just want to see. So we'll all find out together. Anybody think they got a bifurcation diagram for me? That's cool. That's a good axis. Fine axis. It's a fine axis as well. Yes. Negative, there's only that one equilibrium. So this is making it seem like there's another one that's on the negative x-axis that's moving in. When I see that, it looks like there's two coming together, but there is. There's only that one. Yeah, so there's no, I mean, it's stable though, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love it. Beautiful. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. We're close, really close. The stability of the stability is a little off in here, so check out the stability, but that's the shape.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when you're doing it, you take the line and just do it. Is it because
This
it's
way.
derivative?
I see.
No, I don't think so. I would check. I don't know. Let's. I mean, maybe, probably, Ella. Probably that's the answer, but yeah. Because of course I was like, of course we're doing div EQ. Everything's the derivative, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking because like the last one we did was x squared and they're like linear, and then
Oh.
this one's x cubed and it's a parabola.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's there's actually I think there's something to that. Yeah, I think there's something going on there. I don't think that's
Yes.
I don't think that's remotely crazy. All right, let's knock this out and call it a half of semester. Yeah? So here's my R, here's my equilibria. When R is less than 0, I only have 1, and it is stable. Because on the right, I have a negative x dot is negative, and on the left, I've got x dot is positive. So I've got a stable equilibrium, a single one, all the way up to 0. And at 0, I still have a stable equilibrium. It's just starting to weaken. It's becoming weak and about ready to split. It's like getting ready to have like a baby or something, you know? So let's see, what do we got here? So we're stable on the left, little baby equilibrium. Then it has twins, actually, right? They're like mitosis out the Yahoo there or something. So as R hits 0, I still have that one stable, but the minute R becomes positive, this little hump here comes up, and this little hump here comes below, and you see 2 being born out to the side, and as R gets bigger, they move further and further out. So here we have a positive flow and a negative, so stable. The one that was at the origin that was stable becomes unstable. Here we have a negative and a positive, so this one becomes stable. So what I see is this. The one that was at 0 becomes unstable. The 2 that are born are stable branches that look like this. That's called a pitchfork bifurcation. I didn't want to say it until, right? So this is a pitchfork bifurcation. And this one is a very particular kind. This one is called, this is a supercritical pitchfork, pitchfork bifurcation. Let me tell you where this happens. This is what my thesis actually revolved around this particular problem in a variety of ways. But let me show you a real life scenario where this happens. So we're gonna take a semi-rigid beam. So this thing is like made out of some strong like rubber or something. It's flexible, but it's mostly rigid. And R is the load. So here we have a semi-rigid beam. And R is like some weight that I'm putting down on it. So I've got this R load, and it's just like, maybe it's like a press, and as I turn R up, it keeps pressing harder and harder onto this beam. Somebody built this so that it was mostly stable. So what we see is that this thing is stable for nice loads on R. So if there's not too much pressing on it, it stays straight. At some critical point, some critical load, this thing becomes shaky, becomes at risk, and it might buckle. So we have 3 options when this load becomes critical. So imagine this thing is just like so much, you see this thing shaking a little bit. One option is it stays straight, but it's ready to buckle. That's what that unstable. So remember, it was stable before, and now it's become unstable. But it also has 2 other options. It could buckle to the right, or it could buckle to the left. And once it buckles, it's not going to unbuckle, it's stable. So do you see that? Does that make sense? That once it's buckled, I've got a nice new stable equilibrium. I mean, terrible for whatever this thing is supporting. But it's stably terrible in either direction. So that's what we're seeing here. A stable equilibrium breaks into three possibilities. So just remember, keep in mind when you're looking at these are possibilities, however you spell that, of the future. So, my friends, for you, I have a couple of things to do, 5 problems. These aren't bifurcations. I just want you to make the flows for me, right? So you're gonna give me an x-axis with, whatever flows and equilibria. Same for this one. I don't even know what's gonna happen here. I made this one up at the last minute, so I don't know what to expect. I think there's one equilibrium, but maybe there's 2. I don't know. And maybe there's none. We'll find out. And then these 3, I want you to give me a bifurcation diagram for. Use Desmos. Use Desmos for these, and it's gonna make it easy. Then you just have to put the picture. Yes, Thomas?
Right, what's tan H?
Oh,
Is that like?
that's hyperbolic tangent.
Okay.
That probably doesn't answer your question, but hyperbolic tangent, here, I'll give you this here. And you if you enter this in Desmos, it'll know what you're talking about, I think. Is actually one of the hyperbolic functions that looks like this. But don't go to that. Just enter hyperbolic tangent. You go to this, you're gonna become insane.
Okay.
Like that'll just be terrible. But notice that the parameter is inside here. So in general, a hyperbolic tangent looks like this. That's what a hyperbolic tangent generally, it's like a cubic kind of thing. Yeah. All right. So lots of things to explore. Now you won't be bored over break. You're welcome. Alrighty, friends.
So is this due when we get back?
Oh God, no.
Monday?
How about Wednesday
Okay.
after break? Yeah, because I want to take questions, and I'm sure some people won't even start it until Monday on. So yeah, I want to account for all those things. Let's talk about this when you get back. Thanks, everybody.
Will you be available, like, if we want to email you over break?
Absolutely. Shoot me an email. Yeah, I will absolutely be responding. Yes.
So sorry,
Yeah, go.
So this graph here. Oh shit! It's backwards. It's actually backwards.
Did you get the web work?
Yes, it actually is. You're right. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're absolutely
I
right.
tried
Sure.
The applications, right?
Yeah, sure.
When you made this graph, so this is on the x-axis because it's at
Can I ask
0.
you a
Plus
question
at
about,
0. But
what
then
you
it's
showed me?
stable between where r is above 0 and stable where r is below 0.
So,
Okay,
Cool. Cool. Good stuff.
for,
Thank you.
Is it the homework
This-
is due tomorrow? Yeah.
so I have like everything except for
And I can text
this one.
Hope you start hearing from some places soon.
This one.
And you can share.
Okay.
That's too bad.
Yeah. You gotta let me know. Have a good one. Bye.
Because I remember those were the 2 that we had questions with too.
Can't wait.
I've submitted like 33 times. I just don't know what to do.
This morning,
Yes.
I went to bed at like,
Number 3, right?
I don't know, 11:30ish. I woke up wide fucking eyed, 4 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
I don't know, I was wired. Couldn't fall back to sleep. I'm like, fuck, did my physics homework at 4 in the morning. I went back to bed at 7:30. I woke up at
If that's
freaking
the case,
nap.
I'll just mark them right.
Thank you, do that?
Yeah.
I
please
don't,
forget.
I don't, I
I
survived.
will.
I survived day to
I
day.
think,
That,
yeah.
you know, you
And
made
I
a
got
really
like
good
number
point
2,
there.
I have
Yep.
like
Oh
a
my
bunch
God.
of attempts.
Yeah.
Because like,
That was crazy.
No, it's like 7:30 in the morning.
Okay, so you have.
Okay, I'll just email, we'll get you.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
I should
you.
go like 8:15.
Bye, have a good break.
Alright.
Sleep did you get left?
I don't know,
So do
maybe
you
like 5
expect
hours.
the E and the U are?
Oh.
It's pretty intense. It's-
No, you're good, I have plenty of time.
This
So
one
that's
probably is
basically
too
like
terrible
1.055
to drink.
times